Don't everyone do it once.
I had a girl finalize a party today, and I ran into a girl from the daycare that my daughter used to go to, and she was really interested in a fundraiser.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right, what else, guys? What else is going on? It's November. It's like the crazy month. What's happening?
I have my vendor event on the 14th, and it's 75 cents to get 500 pages per cut for flyers.
Yes.
Those went back.
I'm really thankful we had our coaching call today as she was cutting out flyers.
Yes, and I actually got to come to the meeting.
Yay. Office Max will cut flyers for like literally 75 cents a cut. So if you have a stack, boom, 75 cents, cut it the other way, 75 cents versus sitting there and chopping it. So just be sure to.
Up to 250 pages for the 75 cents, and every 250 it's 75 cents. It's going to be a lifesaver.
Awesome. We learn something new every day, even the little things. Awesome, awesome. I've been having lots of like random people reach out for vendor events, just the little ones they're doing here and there. So that's been really fun. And I haven't been able to make them all. So I've been sending a couple of dips, like a couple of the jams, and telling them just put it over cream cheese, and then a couple of dips like the dill dip or the garden vegetable or garlic lore or rancher steak rub to serve with a veggie tray. And then they're putting out my information, and they're also giving like a door prize of Wild Tree, and they're collecting people's information, name and number, so I can follow up with people. So that's been like a little extra way that I haven't been able to be there. So I'm probably not getting as many leads, but I'm getting some leads from that. So just another idea. Awesome. Okay, so a couple of upcoming events that we have, you guys. Battle the Hostesses tomorrow night. Who all is in that right now? And how's Hostesses going? Okay, very good. I haven't looked at the count, but there are a ton of people in there. So just make sure that your people know to click going on that event. I think it's going to be, I mean, it looks huge. There's like 4,500 people invited already. So it's kind of crazy. So that'll be fun to see where that goes and how that turns out. We will be doing something with Black Friday. In December, we'll probably be doing some sort of clean eating leading into January. Okay, so be watching for those type of announcements to come through. What else do we have? December 3rd, Discover Your Because of Wild Tree. That's where you can add your people that are interested in learning more about the business side of Wild Tree, so they can see kind of our community as we go through. We post out there probably like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a week, and then we go live either 1 or 2 times a month. With the holiday season, where I think we're going to do 1 a month, 1 in November, and then 1 in December, and the December one is on the 3rd. So be sure to mark your calendar for that event as well. And you guys, this is like hot, hot, hot selling season. So if you are out talking to anybody and you say what you do and how you can help people, I'm telling you, people are just buying left and right now. So, but you do have to like tell them a little bit. You have to know you actually do Wild Tree, or you won't sell anything. So just to make sure that I'm clear on that, they aren't just going to knock on your door usually and ask if you sell something and can they buy it. But as long as you are opening your mouth and listening to what they have to say and what you do, then you will see those sales increase. So the other thing I would say is right now, you should be setting up your December calendar and your January calendar and start getting those booked, because what happens right now in the first 2 weeks of December impacts you for all of 2018, okay? And I cannot emphasize that enough, because if you get down, you know, past middle of December, you will not get parties. It will be very difficult, I should say, to get parties on your books until mid to late January. Okay, so what you do right now, getting those parties booked in early January, is super, super important. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right, awesome. And you guys know when you talk to people, you can say things like, once you kind of have built that relationship, you know, there's 3 ways to get involved with Wild Tree, and start at the top. As a rep, where you make money and get free things; as a hostess, where you get free product; or as one of my VIP customers. What interests you the most? And then you zip it for a minute and let them really sit there and think and answer, and then take them up. So if they say, I don't know, I think I'd like to get some free credit and have a party with my friends, then say, have you ever thought about doing the business? Okay, take them up 1 notch, see what they say about it, just plant that seed, and who knows, they may go there and they may not, but you're just planting those seeds, okay? So just a few tips there for words to use. Communication and training. I want to talk a little bit about what is 2018 going to look like, and how as a team and as an organization can we stay involved and in touch with each other and with training. So I really want to hear from you guys. What trainings do you guys use? And when that I say the Grow series we did, the business calls on Sunday, are you reading the newsletters? What's helpful? What's not helpful? Do you get your information from Facebook? Do you get it from an email? We're just trying to strategize around getting information out to everybody, and so everyone's on the same page and knows what's happening. So I would love to get some feedback from you guys right now on what you're using, what you like, or what you'd like to see. If something's not helpful at all, shoot. You guys know everything? I don't need to do trainings at all anymore? Oh, fantastic. Woohoo!
The video call stuff is really helpful for me. I know it gives that kind of a conference feel. So I know that helps me.
So the Zoom calls?
Yeah, the Zoom calls are amazing. I know, especially with the LIP stuff right now in the Grow series, I think I learned so much during all of those.
Okay.
I'm new, so like I'm only like not even a week in right now, but for me I think probably Zoom calls or Facebook, like just like posting things in Facebook on the team page. But definitely Zoom calls, I'm definitely like interested in those and getting on those. I'm only, like I said, I just started this last Wednesday, so I'm still kind of getting used to everything. And I'm really kicking this off as much as I can. So, and I think I came at a pretty good time with the holidays coming around. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say Zoom and Facebook.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome, Cassie. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so just to give you guys a heads up, I know Kimberly's not on. I know Danielle's on, but I just did a tasting by myself tonight. There's only one person that came, but she did order $42 today, and I already got 2 orders equaling 164. So I am almost to that 350 mark, and it's not even Wednesday.
Yay! That's awesome.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but just saying.
No, we like to celebrate. Great. That's awesome. Yay. Okay. Then Zoom calls, do you guys like them in the evening, or would you like them at like noon during a weekday?
Depending on the day, I can do during the day or night. It really doesn't. I own my own cleaning business on top of this, so it really, for me, I don't care.
Okay. Any other thoughts out there?
Mine is really just Batman over there. I depend on his work schedule. But he doesn't typically go in until, if it's a 10 o'clock shift, we could leave the house at 9:30. If it's an 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock shift, then we leave at 8:20. So like 7 is really good for me. He doesn't typically go in until 7. I won't be driving at 7. So I know that's good for me.
How about those of you that work? What works better for you? Noontime?
Yeah.
Evening?
I would be better off with evenings because I only get about 20 minutes for lunch at school. So days are out for me.
Okay. Okay, what about on the Facebook? Are you guys utilizing the Discover Your Because of Wild Tree event? Where you ask people who are interested in the business?
Annie, I don't know if I'm the only one having trouble hearing you. Anyone else? Is that just me?
Yeah, I'm having trouble too. I just had to turn my volume up.
Is this any better?
Too. Oh, there. I turned it up too high.
Is that any better?
You were fine earlier.
I was gonna say nothing's changed on my end at all.
I could still hear you. It's just for some reason it's muffled.
You kind of are too now, Danielle.
Sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Huh.
I can hear everybody just fine.
Okay, keep going, Annie. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Tell me if it gets really bad, I guess. Or I'll start typing it out in the chat box what I'm saying. The Discover Your Because of Wild Tree event, is that something that you guys are utilizing on Facebook? So when you have someone who shows interest in the business, are you adding them to that page?
I'm not on that page, I don't think.
Okay. Those of you that have been here, yes, no, what do you have no idea what you're talking about?
I haven't used it yet. I think it's a great idea. It just seems like when I forget about it or when it's coming up, I don't have people that are, I can put onto it.
Okay. Jesse, Amy.
I just haven't, I haven't been working my business the way I had in the past, but when I do have people, I will add them.
Yeah, I would say the same. I don't have a whole lot of people interested in the business right now to add to it. So.
Okay. What about the Sunday night business builder calls that are put on by all the organizations? Do you guys utilize those and listen to them?
I've never listened to one live, but I do, especially in the first 6 months of my business.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a ton based on the topic or whatever, and I guide a lot of people there when they have questions about specific things. So I love that they're archived.
Yeah. Okay, so you use the archive of those versus live.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use the archive as well.
Okay.
I listen to all of them, but I listen to that week.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, what about the weekly newsletter that is posted? And I email that out too. Do you guys get an email or do you just see it on Facebook or you don't see it at all and have no idea what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to figure out how to set it as a notification. It automatically pops up right now. Because I was listening to the recruitment one when I was doing the page cutting, but knowing that they're coming out because I cannot get my email on my phone to just automatically show me them. I had to figure out a setting on that. And I love when I finally got to look at it.
Annie, do you send that out to the whole org?
So
I don't get it.
Okay, I don't get it. So I don't.
Either.
I can't send it to the whole org. I put in an email request because, well, I can send it to the whole org, but some of the Whitney's portion of it, she doesn't utilize it, and so she doesn't want it going to her org. So I'd have to go in and manually each week take out 200 people.
Oh, I could send it out though.
Yes, you can send it out to your entire org. Yeah, and Tegan can send it out to her org. So the directors, if we all directors send it out, then it would get to everybody.
I've always just leaned on Facebook, but I guess that's a great poll question to ask if people prefer email. I legitimately never open any of my emails. hardly ever, and I have 17,000 unopened in my inbox.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I like seeing it on Facebook. I thought you had me on your email list, but I have not seen it come through email at all. Maybe at the very beginning.
I might have just sent it to leaders one time.
Maybe. Yeah, I haven't seen it come through, but I also only look for emails that I need to respond to right away.
Okay. I think that's hit and miss. Like, how many of you guys rely on Facebook? Raise your hand. How many of you guys rely on email? Okay, that's interesting. I probably have a third of my reps who do email only versus Facebook. So that's why I always email mine out. But
I mean, if it's something, I think I do rely on email a lot. I mean, obviously, working in the business world, email is the thing. But for some reason, I feel like for WildTree, unless it's something coming from home office or it's a customer conversation or something like that, I would rather see the team stuff on Facebook, I guess, because I feel like I can get back to it in my own time, where if it's email, I need to either handle it or it's going to get buried. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I don't always handle the team stuff right away.
Yeah.
It's something that I can always come back to.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, tell me about the home office email that's sent out on Thursdays. Are you guys reading those every week? Do you know?
Yeah, they've been full of good stuff lately.
Yeah, they've totally changed those around, and so they're packed with information. So that's why I'm kind of looking like tweaking kind of what we're doing, since they are taking that more, on more. I want to change kind of what we're doing to make sure that we're not overlapping too much. And, they're trying to take some stuff off of our plates, which is nice. And so that's one reason I want to have this conversation. Okay. Those of you that participated in like the Master the Basics and the Grow series that we did and the LIT series, were those helpful for you guys? As I'm looking at 2 team leaders that were involved in those. Yeah. Okay.
This is Joanna. I liked it. I joined late July. And so I kind of got in on the end of the Grow series. And so I would love to see it happen again, so I could start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I was going to try to do the LIT, but again, I kind of got in the middle of it and wasn't quite ready. And so I kind of felt behind from the beginning. So even though I've been doing it for a couple months, I would probably be interested in jumping into it if you started again.
Okay. That's great feedback. Thank you.
And I just jumped in, Annie, into just like last week, I got into some of that training that you've posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I knew it was there, but I wish I'd gotten to it earlier, but there's so much.
I know. Is there a way that you think would be helpful for you or for us as new reps come on board to get them the information?
I don't know, because I jumped online and I started following, New Reps Start Here. So I followed that a lot on the MRC. Okay. And I was doing that, and convention had just happened. So I jumped over onto STIR and I did some of the training, watched some of the training archive videos from that. And then I kind of was like still looking for some things. So I jumped into your stuff and started going through that. And so it's just, I don't know the right order to say, because all of them are really good. But I think what I found most helpful with yours was that I've jumped into it last week because I saw you or somebody else post a link about like print documents to print for either a workshop or an event.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest. That was the one that I was like, oh, that's what I needed 3 months ago, because I kind of knew what I wanted, but I was digging around in the MRC trying to find the certain things that I wanted to see, or the things that like Sarai, or what's her name? The one that does a lot of the videos. She would mention certain documents or show them, and I couldn't find them. So when I found your stuff, I was like, this is what I wanted. So it just took me a little bit longer. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. And some of those documents are really what I had to struggle finding, because I wanted them to help guide me through some of my first workshops.
Yeah. Okay. That's great feedback. Thank you. Anything else you guys have on what you want to see from your leadership team, or any other ideas or any other feedback on training?
Guys, I will tell you that I think what you guys have is amazing. I worked for another DS company, and we had lots of stuff, and I thought they were really good, but you guys have really pretty much knocked my socks off on how impressive Annie, you and your team is. So I'll give you that. And I think the MRC and Wild Trees got it really set up really nicely. So I think there's lots of really good things. Probably as a new rep, the hardest thing, and I think this is probably we all run into, is just where to start, because it can be really, you're kind of drinking from a fire hydrant to a certain extent. And so I think the hardest thing is just figuring out where you need to focus and what you should do, and how to not feel completely overwhelmed from the get-go.
Yep.
I think that's really great feedback, and anyone that's been here for a while knows the leaps and bounds of where things are versus, I know when I started, nobody's like the OG, like Annie and I with our old system. Ooh, maybe Michelle might have been here for the old MRC. I don't think Jesse was, I don't remember, but anyway, thank you for that feedback, because it's come a long way. But that's exactly what we tell people. That's exactly what I tell new people. You're going to feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. That's what it is. Because if you're open to the information that's out there and provided for you to learn from, then it feels like a lot, So, but the good news is, if you're taking it all in, then you'll go somewhere with it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's great feedback. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so I want to dive in real quick on just a little bit of training, and this is kind of outside of our normal team building and bookings and things like that, but it's on this popular philosophy that's going around right now, talking about being passionate and persevering. So when you guys hear the word passionate, what do you think about?
Driven.
Mm-hmm.
Heart, like your heart's in it, like you really want this, you really want to pursue.
Yeah, you love it, love what you're doing. Yeah. What about perseverance? What comes to your mind when you hear that word?
Like battling through despite obstacles, whatever the word is.
Kind of like a struggle, maybe, to persevere past the struggle and reach your goal.
Yeah. One of the words I wrote down was daily discipline, to persevere every day.
Not quitting when times get hard.
Not quitting when times get hard. Yeah. Doing better today than I did yesterday. I always think if I can learn a little bit and then apply it. There's this great book out there called Grit. You guys heard of it yet? Anybody heard of it, read it? Okay. Oh, good. Well, Grit is all about, it kind of compares people who change jobs every couple years versus those that are kind of sticking with it and gritting it out, as they would say. So it talks about what happens to people when they are changing jobs all the time. They don't really end up getting what they think they're going to get. It's kind of like the grass might be greener over here, but then it ends up, maybe it's not greener over there. and they end up appearing kind of unstable to other people. They usually use a lot of energy when they're changing and jumping all around, that if they were just being gritty and sticking with something, even when it gets tough, they will end up further along towards their vision that they had and conquering the goal, like in persevering. So those that have grit, who like stick it out no matter what, when they get knocked down, they just like get back up again. And, you know, they end up over time succeeding. And these are people that have that passion that Joanna was talking about, like with their heart and just loving what they do, and perseverance, where they are just, you know, not quitting when it gets hard. I think Danielle, you said that one, just going with it. And you really, when times are tough, that's when your true character really starts coming out. Like, what are you going to do now? And so I was, you know, kind of reading about this book, and I was just thinking about our organization as a culture. And I want to be known as an organization that is full of grit. As like, you know, that doesn't sound sexy and pretty, but I think if our organization as a whole is just like so full of grit, and you already see it in our leadership team. And I know Jesse's on here, Amy's on here, Michelle's on here, Danielle's on here, and all of us have been through things that are so tough, so hard. Little things from somebody telling us no to huge obstacles that we've had to overcome. And I want that to flow all the way down throughout our team and just be an organization full of grit, where we are committed to just growth, to passion, to building character, to persevering, and just, you know, watering our grass here with Wild Tree and making it greener, and just keeping on and growing and loving and serving those around us, whether it's with healthy meals or a healthy opportunity that they can have. And when you create that vision for yourself and you stick with it and persevere, nothing is going to stand in your way. And I feel like if we take that as an organization and just kind of run with it, there's just no stopping us. And there is so much exciting stuff coming out in 2018. And I am just thrilled to see where we go with all of our grit coming up through the next couple months and into 2018. So if you guys have not read that book yet, I highly recommend it. You can apply it to all aspects of your life. So I just wanted you guys, I want to throw that out there tonight as something a little bit different, a little bit off topic of bookings and recruiting. But what do you guys think about that?
I think grit is super important. I think that, especially in this business, I feel like some people can think it's like this get rich quick scheme, and people can jump in and think, oh gosh, they make it look so easy, and I'm sure I can just do a couple parties and it's going to be awesome and I'll be rich and da da da. And then they realize, oh gosh, there's really some work involved. And so sometimes I think, you know, we got to be careful selling anything, you know, promoting, trying to get people to join and not making sure that they realize, hey, there is a little bit of a work involved. I mean, you can decide how much,
right,
but you know, it's not magically going to happen. And, you know, somebody gave me the scenario a couple of years ago about, you know, kind of thinking about the product that you offer as like a glass of iced tea at a restaurant, right? When the waiter comes up and says, you want iced tea? And you say no, well, they're not going to hang their head and slump off like, oh my gosh, I have a horrible product I'll never sell. No, they're going to offer you something else, or, hey, you're just not an iced tea person. You know, and so it's just, it can get frustrating because sometimes you can take it personally, but you got to get back up on the horse and keep going.
Exactly. Agree. You hit the nail on the head there, Annie, when you said, you know, this is a little bit more than us talking about bookings or hostess coaching. I think what's important to remember is all of those things are just the technical pieces of our business. Because I was thinking about this yesterday, I was going to go live, but I was all a hot mess. I still am tonight, but that's I stay at home with kids, so I don't wear makeup. Anyway, I was thinking about this yesterday because I was thinking about, like, I'm getting ready to have my third anniversary with Wild Tree. November 20th was when I enrolled, the week of Thanksgiving. I wouldn't highly recommend it, but that was what I did. So getting ready to celebrate 3 years and thinking about my journey and like my first year and going like balls to the wall because I wanted a free trip. I had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old and a baby. I joined when she was 4 months old, and I was like, I need a vacation with my husband, and I knew the only way I was going to get it is if I earned it for free. And so Cassie, when you were talking about, if you're still on, that you had one person at your tasting, I had 2 people at my tasting, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I feel like just from the very beginning, people get so in their head about what do I serve and what do I say and this and that and the other, that so many people have paralysis by analysis. They're overthinking it and they never get started. And you guys, back then we used to hand out these folders. I'm sure many of you have heard me tell this story, but it was Thanksgiving week, like I said, and I'm trying to do this launch at the end of November, right? 2 people come because everybody's thinking about Christmas. And I'm like looking at something and I'm like, oh, apparently I'm supposed to have folders. You guys, I could have so easily been like, I'm not cut out for this. I'm too busy. I'm too stressed out. I'm sleep deprived because my daughter didn't sleep through the night till she was 18 months. Whatever. I could have had any excuse, but I was like, I knew deep down that there was something good here, and this was something that could help people like me. I was a super stressed out mom who was feeding my family canned soup and chips and salsa because I was tired and didn't have time to cook. And I mean, obviously, if you know me, I'm into health and wellness, but I just knew there was something good. And I knew from a business perspective, there was something good, because to own your own business and do it for such low risk, high reward. Yes, it took me 4 years to come to Wild Tree after I knew about it. But, all of that had nothing to do with like, what do I say in my email when I'm following up with people? Or not, I'm not saying that those questions are not legit. I'm not saying that, because I get that you want like this magic bullet. But unfortunately, what we're here to tell you is there's not like a magic bullet, because it just takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of practice, but mostly it takes a lot of belief and a lot of confidence in what we do. Not only from our rancher steak rub's amazing. Yes, it is. But from our solution standpoint of what does this globally look like for impacting your family from a saving money, saving time, and saving stress perspective. And from the business, what can your family do with an extra $500 a month? And I want to tell you, obviously, I think all of you know my personal situation, and that I've been, it was November 20th is my 1-year anniversary, or my 3-year anniversary with Wild Tree. November 23rd is 1-year anniversary since I felt a lump. And November 30th is my 1-year anniversary since I hit director. So November is kind of a crazy month for me, I guess, in terms of what we have coming up and all the memories and all of that. But it would have been so easy over the last year to quit. And obviously I took a step back, trying to get going again. And so in a lot of ways I knew, but you guys, here's what I'm here to tell you. Work really hard and you'll be able to be in a position that if life knocks you down like it has me, I still made a paycheck every single month. Pretty decent one. I still paid my mortgage every single month this year because of the work I put in. Okay. And no other like industry would be able to provide that. I would have had to take non-paid FMLA, maybe had to lose my job. And so I have such belief in like what this side gig can do for families, that's the grit, I guess, that I come with, that I don't care if you judge me for what I do for a living, because you're not paying my bills. And I just have such belief in it. And but also a lot of that comes from the way I approach people. I don't try to sell them. I just develop relationships and I see how what I have might be able to help their family. So I think the number one thing, what I always tell people, you will never fail if you don't quit. You just can't quit. If you don't quit, you'll never fail. I know Jamie, you and I have had this conversation. It looks like she's talking to a kiddo, but Jamie and I have had that conversation and those words many times. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone on. We have speaking of grit, we have Michelle, who re-promoted as a team leader. Anybody who's hit team leader knows that that journey can be really much a lot of a roller coaster. And here's someone who said, I'm not going to quit. You know, maybe life threw this obstacle in my way, but maybe I need to set it down. But it's so good. I got to pick it back up. And we have Jessie, who got promoted at her full-time job and now just promoted out her first leader. And we have Joanna, who she has leadership on her radar, and she's been super engaged and rocking her business. Jamie had one of her higher sales months last month. Amy hit first month team leader numbers. Marnie has really stepped outside of her comfort zone. I've known her, I talked to her for about Wild Tree for 2 years before she joined. So here's the number one thing. You guys are all on the call. We're all given the same brown box. There's no magic answer. There's no magic formula. We're all given the exact same tools. In fact, you guys all came on when you had way better tools than we did. So again, that is like my number one piece of advice is like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because as I said last week, if anyone saw my response to Annie, is you either win or you learn. There's no losing. And Annie's probably laughing because if she can remember back to when I first started and I was like, oh my gosh, like freaking out about something. And she's like, it's not brain surgery. Like it's food and it's all going to be okay. And I have used those words so many times and it's calmed me down. Like if I'm chasing down UPS for a delivery or something, I remind myself that you may have to deal with someone that's upset, but you can overcome that. We're not talking life and death. We're not talking overcomplicating things. We're just talking about simplifying something that is a daily experience in everyone's life. So belief. You have to have the belief that what you do is valuable and good and meaningful. And B, you can't let the naysayers or the no's or the judgment block your own vision and your own why. And lean into the community that you have here. Those would be my biggest tips of advice. Yeah. Know that there's always opportunity to learn in everything in life. Always be a sponge. So I don't know. Sorry for all that rambling, but Annie and I were messaging about grit earlier, and just that's all that came to my head. I had nothing prepared to say necessarily, but
yeah, no, that's great.
Can I add one quick thing on for Danielle? Kind of help prove your point. I don't know if you remember this conversation or not, but it was, I think, 2 or 3 months after I started, and my second year just passed in June. I was freaking out. I'm not even sure why I was freaking out. I think it was a party when I actually got to host parties. I only get to do Facebook parties now, but I was worried about what I was going to do, how I was going to get it all done. And I was like, I'm done. I'm going to quit. I can't do this. It's not for me. I'm not a people person like that. And you said, you were actually referencing Annie. You said, Annie told me one thing, and if you can remember this, it'll get you through it. Give it 6 months. After 6 months, then okay, you've tried, you're not going to do it. That was 2 years ago. And I have gone, through ups and downs with my husband's work schedule, just trial and error, everything. And like you said, last month I had my highest month, I think, to date. So it does work. No, sorry.
Yeah, give it 6 months with no fear, and you got to keep at it. You can't just say, okay, I'll be a Wild Tree 6 months and then never talk to anybody about it. But yeah, be there 6 months, like commit to it, 6 months, a year, whatever that is for you, but give it some time for sure. And like Danielle said, lean into your community here, your team, your peers, your leaders, your directors. That's what we're here for. And that's what, anyone in leadership, ultimately, that's your passion, is helping others. And so that's what we're here for, is to help you guys. And as you guys rise, we are all rising together. And just the more you're in leadership, the more passionate you become about that. So.
Yeah, I was talking to Danielle earlier this week after I hit senior team leader. And I just told her, I said, I almost feel kind of guilty that I am in the position I am because I haven't been able to work that hard. But she said, you did work hard. I did work hard early on, and I did. And it's paying off now, and it's awesome. And I need to work hard to rebuild my team because I'm losing them to my new team leaders, but that's wonderful. I mean, those girls deserve what they have. And so it's just really great. And I was in a sales meeting this morning for my day job, and they were talking about the ship it before it's ready mentality, because one of our sales reps was saying all these things she was going to prepare and she was going to do, and she was going to shoot a video, and she was going to get all these plans done, and she was going to mail these letters. And I was like, I mean, I'm the former marketing person for the company, so I get it. But I was like, no, you got to go walk in the door. Like, you just do it. You don't. So everything I've learned with WildTree, I've applied to my day job, and everything I learned in my day job, I applied to WildTree. And it's just so true. You just have to ship it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the details. They'll work themselves out. I was at a workshop. I don't even know if the story's going to make sense when it all comes together, but I had a workshop on Sunday, and 4 of the 7 people were physicians I didn't even know before. They're all from my church moms group, but I had never met everybody except 2 people before the workshop. So 7 of them are physicians. One of them was a petrochemical engineer or something. So I didn't really push the business opportunity because I didn't think these women were going to be into it. So I didn't even touch on it. But I realized they need the product, and they're probably going to be great repeat customers. And I found that just being myself and sharing my story and sharing how I use the product, I kind of felt like I was rushed into the workshop, and then I got kind of anxious when I found out what they all did. And then I just took a deep breath and just was myself, and it ended up being great. And I don't know, I just feel like I did at the beginning. I, had all my stuff in order. You can do that and you can be successful, but you can also just jump in, and if you're passionate about it, it's going to come through. And that's what's always worked for me. So I don't know. Sorry if that totally didn't make sense. It's late.
I know, I'm telling you, it feels like 11:30 or midnight.
I know. I'm rubbing my eyes.
I know, exactly. No, you're right. Just jump in and do it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes, and that's how we learn. Mistakes are how we learn and grow. And we all have this. Well, most of us have this fear of failure, and a lot of it's in how we were raised, and that you don't make mistakes. And as I get older, I learned that you have to make mistakes to grow and to learn and to move forward. So.
Was that Rob? Oh, sorry. Was that Rob's training that he talked about as a child? You hear no how many times?
Yes.
Was that Rob's training? And that really stuck out for me. I was like, holy cow. So I'm trying to reframe that with my girls even.
Right.
And so, we just automatically, like one of my favorite things to tell people is be responsible for the energy you bring. And I tell myself that too. And my kids is like, be responsible for the energy you bring. And remember that not that you want to look at everyone as a prospect, but they are. And so more than how great our taco seasoning is, be the person that people want to spend time with. Be the person that people want to be around, because people don't want to buy it. They love to buy, but they don't want to be sold. They want to spend time with you. I swear, sometimes I have people come to my workshops last year when I was doing more workshops, that they'd be like, well, I didn't bring my groceries. And I'm like, they just wanted to hang out, and you just paid me $78. I don't know if they ever, or they would take it home and have their husbands do it or whatever. But it's just like, be someone that people want to be around. And that's all about your energy. If you're constantly like Debbie Downer and like just blah, 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 people don't, I like shove that energy away. And so a lot of people are like that. They want to block that energy because there's enough negativity in the world. So be someone's light in the day is the biggest thing I can say. And also, though, I want to piggyback off what Jessie said, and I could talk all night, so I'll cut it off here. But when Jessie and I were talking, and she was saying, I don't have the time to work my business while I'm figuring out my new role and until I get in. And I'm like, I think sometimes people are attracted to that, though, because you guys, if you look like you're working all the time, nobody wants that. If you look like WildTree is 95% of your life and like you're not spending enough time with your family or whatever, people are, I would be like, I don't want that. Like, I want to spend time with my family, but if you show that you can fit something really great into the pockets of your life, more families out there need $500 extra a month than they do $10,000 a month or whatever. So, you know, to be realistic, to make sense for people that, oh yeah, I mean, $500, that's more than a car payment for most people. So, you know, focus on that. What would you do with an extra $500 a month? Get people thinking about that. And that is easily attainable in the pockets of your life with Wild Tree. Yep. So if you get a bunch of people wanting to make $500 a month, you're growing a pretty thriving organization.
Mm-hmm. So, for sure.
Did I ramble on enough?
You're great.
It's 9:18 now.
I know it is. So, well, let's go forward. Everyone have a great night, and let's just have passion, perseverance, and grit throughout our organization. And when you're talking with your team, and think about that when, you know, everything you do, think about passion, perseverance, and grit, and how are you going to apply that in your life. So have a great night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.